Vote Uncommitted. It's punk rock.
It is punk rock.
Hello and welcome to America the Conversation. I am one of your hosts, Tim Phillippe, and with me as always is Andrew Turner. Andrew, how committed are you to voting for Joe Biden in this next election in 2024, this year?
If I could cast my ballot right now, I would say I'm somewhere between and committed.
Yeah, I'm around the area, but I think I'm just going to vote uncommitted this time, at least in the primary. So that's what we're talking about today. It's going to be a short one, mostly because hopefully we know your lines aren't going to be that long in a primary because no one wants to vote in the primaries. So we are going to be talking about one, Nikki Haley, and two, Joe Biden. What do they have in common? Joe Biden didn't lose, but Nikki Haley absolutely recently in Nevada lost by 33 points, 63.4 to 30.4, to none of these candidates in their primary. Their primary that apparently meant nothing because the caucus is the only way you can win delegates. So I don't know why they have two things, but that's Nevada. But she also had told Nevada, ironically, that she didn't want to campaign there because they had rigged the election for Trump and she wants to campaign in a state that's fair. So the Republican Party there ended up saying, you know what, let's push for none of these candidates because the majority of them there don't really like Trump because even the governor there didn't support Trump. He supported none of these candidates as well. But Nikki Haley then was saying she wanted to focus fully on South Carolina and ended up still losing. So good job, Nikki. You showed Nevada and none of these candidates. So that's one person that lost to that. Now, Joe Biden, why he also has this in common with her, he didn't lose, but in Michigan, he recently was taken down a peg by what was supposed to be only 10,000 people voting uncommitted, what turned out to be 101,000 people who voted uncommitted to Joe Biden. Only 15% of the votes, it ended up being 17%, so much so that they gained two delegates.
That's huge against an
two
incumbent.
Delegates. Uncommitted now has two
Huge.
Delegates in the Democratic convention. Has not happened in ever. I think for the Democrats, Nikki Haley was the first person.
I don't know about that. But
well, it may not. Yeah, I'm sure it has happened before, but I couldn't find anything. But I know Nikki Haley was the first person to lose to none of these candidates since it was put forth in 1975. So
that's cool.
In almost
good
50 years.
Girl boss. She's girl
boss.
She's girl bossing hard.
She's doing it.
She's getting accolades left and right.
I hope that money from the
politics all the way.
I hope that GOP donor money is worth it because it's the only thing keeping her going. But Trump could use some of it,
and she can act like she's more white than Vivek Ramaswamy because she changed her name.
Yeah, the amount of people I saw that were shocked at the fact that she's not a white person is on just the internet.
She's smarter than
just
him.
astounding.
Well, I think she also wants to win office, unlike Vivek,
for GOP. But the amount of people that talked about Vivek's skin color and his religion is just funny because not surprising.
Well, but that's a whole other thing of please go on YouTube, audience, and look up like racist Republicans versus Vivek Ramaswamy and listen to what people were saying when he was running the primary. But like Nikki Haley likes to say America is not a racist country and we've never been a racist country, yet she changed her name to Nikki Haley. That is not her
name,
original
which
name.
I don't remember off the top of my head. It's an Indian name, an Indian
and I don't want to butcher
heritage.
it either way because I'm not like Donald Trump and gonna make fun of it. Like
Rammy Swammy.
And I think everybody should be able to name themselves whatever they want for any reason. That's
exactly,
I'm not making fun of her that. I'm just saying that it is diehard proof that the very thing she espouses against is untrue because she changed her name in order to win more votes in the Republican primary for governor, for Congress before that. It is once again classic Republican hypocrisy. What I will say about both her and Joe Biden to compare is not that they necessarily both lost, even though, she's lost every thing to Trump and she will continue to lose everything to Trump, is that they're both underperforming, right? which is
Mhm.
should both be warning bells to the Republican establishment who thinks they can take back this party, which they can't.
They cannot. No.
Not
So much
really.
so,
They
Mitch
can,
McConnell literally
I mean,
just
like,
announced he's resigning because the party is so far gone
yeah,
from
I mean,
Reagan that
like,
it's
kind
like,
of like the donors are still going to get what they want with Trump. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But they do want somebody who's more controllable if they could help it. Like
Mhm.
the Kochs were investing in Haley until this last week. So like the Coke. There's only one
Coke,
left.
the single Coke
the
now.
Coke. The Coke. But
KOCH for the algorithm that thinks we're talking about.
the
something
right wing
else.
George Soros. What George Soros is to the right,
Yeah.
he is to the left.
He's our boogeyman.
Yeah. And it's not anti-Semitic. It's great.
Yeah. Is
Anyway.
boogeyman anti-Semitic? Oh, I don't even want to get into
Well,
that.
I was going to go into George Soros, but yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought just somehow. Boogeyman turns out means a lot of racist.
I mean,
stuff,
sure.
right?
I'm sure.
I'm sure
it's
it does.
probably just racist. Yeah. But
yeah.
That being said, I think that they both are underperforming, right? Which is a warning sign to both of them, which is like the Republican Party is Trump's party, done de facto. I think he could be convicted, which I don't think he will be now that the Supreme Court is delayed.
Sure, that's a whole nother episode.
Yeah, exactly. But like, even if he was convicted before the election, I don't think that he would like lose the party's nomination. Like, even if he somehow was in prison, I think he'd still run for the presidency. Like, so that's set in stone is what that says when Haley's lost in this last few races. Like, barring Donald Trump dying, he is the nominee. And when it comes to Joe Biden, like, what it shows is there's a lot of like, yes, of course, like practitioners of the Islamic faith, Muslim Americans, like Arab Americans, Palestinian Americans, Turkish and Egyptian and Saudi Americans and sure Israeli. Well, yeah, I mean Israeli, Arab and Israeli Islamic Americans who, I don't know what to tell them when they say I can't vote for Joe Biden because of what he's done with Israel. I don't know what to say to that. That's really not my business. I'm not going to try to convince them. I understand their point and like I get it. But like,
I will say the light counterpoint is that Trump's not gonna be any better. In fact, it's gonna be worse.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
he wants to
worse.
put Gaza on the Muslim ban.
Like, I mean, like there will be there is a small but possible chance that we can terrify, scare, manipulate, bully Joe Biden into helping end this apartheid, right? Like over time. There was no chance with that with Donald Trump, like none whatsoever. So like that would be my comparison to that. But I also get like I don't think those people are going to go vote for Donald Trump, Tim. I think they're going to just not vote.
I think they're just not going to vote.
They're just not going to show up. And when you win Michigan, by 15,000 votes, like Hillary Clinton, or like
Joe
by 20,000
won.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It's like
he won by. Let's see. He won by 150,000 votes in 2020.
And there's like 200,000 Muslim Americans in just Detroit. You know what I mean? Like I think that and let alone like it's not just Muslim Americans and like Arab Americans and Palestinian Americans and Israeli Americans that are progressive and Jewish Americans that are progressive that are like anti-apartheid, anti the Israeli like occupation.
It's a lot of people, Joe.
It's a lot of young people. It's a lot of people under 40 in general, whether they be Christian, atheist, agnostic, Muslim, Jewish, like Catholic, Protestant, of the 80 different thousand types that y'all have. You fucking Protestants with your 800,000 different versions of the same thing. Whatever.
They're denominations. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's the difference. Yeah, ours is grape juice. You can't dance in this one. Yeah, okay, cool.
Lutherans have nuns, but they can get married. I think
we get it. Y'all can't follow rules. You can't listen to Pope Daddy. We get it. Anyways, I think that like the point being is there are a lot of Americans of all different stripes, religions, creeds, ideologies that are not like adamant Zionists. There are even Zionists that are anti-apartheid. There are even people like that believe that there should be like a two-state solution where Israel is its own like Jewish state, but the Palestinians get an equal and opportune state as well. I don't think that's possible anymore. I think Israel has taken over too much of the Palestinian land to do a two-state solution anymore, unlike it was in the 60s or 70s. I think we need a one-state solution where, everyone gets equal vote, no matter your religion, race, or creed. And that's how it goes, like in democracy, like it should be in every nation. But that being said, like either way, it's not my place as like some yokel American to solve the problem, but I can demand that my politicians stop funding a genocide, right? That they
Yeah,
demand
absolutely.
and stop sending Israel money for anything that's like extra until they stop an apartheid, until they stop treating the Palestinian people like second and third and fourth class citizens and like slaves, like concentration camp. Like they it is an open air concentration camp,
Mhm.
and that is what Gaza is. And the West Bank is being slowly settled as well, which under international law is recognized, as illegal. Like I, the point is this conflict has been going on for 70 years, 60 years, and it is a Western European colonial white
Mhm.
settler conflict that we've never really addressed the original sins of. And I don't think we can just kick all the Jewish people out there that grew up there, that have been born there. That's unacceptable. Just like you shouldn't be able to be kick the Palestinians out. Like it
Yeah.
should be a neutral land, a holy land where everyone can feel safe, where no one's going to do anything to harm anyone else, and everyone gets a vote. It's a republic.
Yeah.
It should be run like any other modern state and not an ethno state. And Joe Biden doesn't have to go with that crazy left-wing idea of equality that I'm going with. All he has to do is say, we're going to stop funding more of your defense
Yeah.
until you stop this active campaign. He doesn't even have to demand the end of the apartheid and like treating of Palestinians differently and like for a solution to the problem. As much as I want that, he doesn't even have to do
Mhm.
that to win a lot of these votes back. All he has to do is say, stop with the active killing of civilians.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
let's
like bare
cease
minimum.
fire
It's a
and hostage
sentence.
exchange. Yeah.
It's
yeah.
like one sentence. He did, as of today, I believe, so March 1st is when we're recording this, that he is going to start airdropping food aid into Gaza. So step in the right direction,
Yeah, but
but still, it's still not.
yesterday there were 8 to 12 trucks that went into Gaza to hand out flour.
Yeah,
And
I
the
know.
the Israeli military fired on those people. Now they
Yeah.
argue of whether that happened before or after the stampede, but either way, there was a stampede where over 100, probably more, probably hundreds,
More.
but
I think
at least
160
100,
something.
100 at least confirmed when I last looked, but I'm sure it's more. People were either trampled or shot by the IDF who were trying to get
Mhm.
flour, who were trying to not even get food, but access to materials to make food. Like we have heard numerous testimonies from people from multiple aid groups and NGOs saying that they can't get in there, they can't distribute aid, they have the money, they have the supplies, but they can't get through the border. They multiple NGOs have been bombed, ambulances have been bombed, like Doctors Without Borders have lost
Mhm.
people, multiple journalists have died, even in American like news outlets. Like this is a war zone without rules by a colonial power that has the backing of the United States against a small anti-colonialist group that has a lot of problems with it. Don't get me wrong, Hamas is not a good group, but like the Palestinian people are not Hamas, and the Palestinians are suffering collective punishment, which is a war crime according to the Geneva
Mhm.
Convention, according to the United Nations, affirmed in multiple different treaties and multiple different sanctions and pacts. I and the United States is funding it. Israel could not. They could do it for a while without us. They could continue with the supplies they have and the money and the strike force and power capability that they
Mhm.
have to do it. But eventually, they would have to stop if we stopped funding them and stopped supplying them with weapons. And Joe Biden, unlike I think any other Democrat would have done, and unlike some Republicans, I even think would have done in the past, has given them a blank check, has not really pushed anything other than behind the scenes yelling at Bibi Netanyahu. Fuck that. Let's do some public yelling at Bibi Netanyahu. Let's say, if you
Yeah.
don't stop this shit, with one more civilian death and I stop sending aid packages. Like,
Yeah. I'm tired of hearing about like, oh yeah, Joe Biden called him an asshole. I'm like, oh no,
oh yeah,
not
he
the
used a
A
bad
word.
word. Yeah.
Like, whoa. Oh wait, did he say fucking asshole? Oh no, he also said the F word.
And let's
Fuck
let's
off.
let's
Fuck
move
off.
on beyond
Like,
even the
he- like,
morality of what you
come
and I
on.
think about it and what a lot of people who are progressive or young think about it. I'm just saying politically, he is
Politically,
throwing
the
away,
game. Let's talk about the game of it
he
all.
is throwing
Like,
away so many young votes, so many votes in Michigan that are just Arab and Palestinian American votes. Like he is throwing away so many votes in an election that is going to be close in these swing states because of how
Mhm.
bullshit the electoral college is. It'd be a different conversation if it was just a popular vote, but it would be a different conversation every election. It should be a popular vote. Another
Should just be a
episode, we'll do
popular
that.
vote.
We should just do a popular vote for the president. But
Like every country
yeah.
except for like North Korea.
It's the electoral college is built for slavers. That's literally
Yeah.
why it was made. But yeah, I mean, like The way that our system is now, like Michigan is going to be amazingly important and amazingly important and margin thin close. And he is
Yeah.
throwing away votes and throwing away
Mhm.
votes across multiple states with young people who care about
Yeah.
this, who have identified it as a genocide and have
Mhm.
made it a bar issue. And the only way I think to change course on that, the only way to get them to notice that that is a political, let alone, like I said, the moral, like maybe we can push him to do the right thing, just to get him to notice that politically it is dangerous and that the White House has to
Mhm.
change course, is in these primaries, go and vote for the most left-wing candidate you can in every single race that you can, except in the presidential race, go vote uncommitted. Because
Mhm.
what that says is, I don't want to vote for Donald Trump. I'm just not committed to Joe Biden because of his current actions. And
Yeah.
that is a genius way to politically make your voice heard in a
Mhm.
primary where we're not going to get somebody else elected for the Democratic primary. It's not going to happen. You're not like
Yeah.
casting a ballot for
Anybody
Marianne
who
Williams.
says that, people still try and talk to me about that online. Like,
Yeah. Here's how
that's like,
Bernie
there's
can
other
win
people that could
in
do it. I'm like, yeah,
2024.
here's how Bernie can win. No, I don't want to
Here's
call
how
you
Bernie can win.
delusional, but
This
there
is
is
how
no
Bernie
other
can win
word I can
still.
think of.
Yeah.
Like, it's like I would call myself delusional if I thought that, but it's just, well, I don't get, and this is, I understand why Nikki Haley lost her thing, but at least with Biden, here with, all the things he's doing with Israel, and not just simply stopping when it's just a political game for him. Like he does, like, it's something that worries me that you said on one of our episodes, that he must actually fully believe it at this point, like in the cause of Zionism, to
Yeah. I think
not
ideologically. Yeah.
like, yeah, like to not stop this, to like not go against, like, dude, you're gonna lose. Like you could lose this election because of what you're doing here. When every person in Gen Z has vocalized, and millennials as well, and people even older than that. It's not a young person thing. There are
Well,
older folks that don't want this, but like,
no, I will say there is a sea change right now. Like for the first time, like Morning Joe is questioning this, like the mainstream media is questioning this, and
yeah,
that's who Joe Biden like
Jake
listens to,
Tapper.
right? Yeah. Like Joe Biden listens to like 5 p.m. CNN and like 7 a.m. MSNBC, and like he reads the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times, and like for the first time in like 6 months of just wanton violence and like death and destruction and like the leveling of an entire region of people,
Mhm.
for the first time those mainstream media outlets are starting to question it and starting to say things that are like, oh, maybe this has gone too far, blah blah blah. And so
Yeah.
I'm hoping that that's going to push Joe Biden, because Joe Biden does wake up much like Donald Trump, reminiscent of Donald Trump with Fox News. Joe Biden does wake up and watch Morning Joe every morning. Now I think
'Cause it's got his name in it.
I think that like
It's a show about me.
oh, it's
That's
because
not
they're
a Joe Biden
old. It's
impression.
because they watch fucking 24-hour cycle
Yeah.
news. Like, even if you and I watch like clips 24-hour news, it's not live, like unless something crazy's happening. Like, and then we'll watch
Yeah.
live news, sure, but like live. But like majority of the time when we see a clip of like Ari Melber or Jake Tapper or fucking Sean Hannity, like it's not live that we watched it. We saw it on Twitter, we saw it on Instagram, we saw it on
Mhm.
YouTube, and like we're reclipping it and sharing it, right? Like the majority of people under 50 aren't sitting there and watching the news for 2 or 3 hours, like on the
Yeah.
TV, like through cable. But that's what Joe Biden is. And so we have to wonder like what he's reading and what his thought process is. Cause I don't think that he's like in realization of like how much young people give a shit about this, because I think that
I
there's
mean,
two
how could he
ideologies.
not? Like, is no one talking to him? Is it like Obama
Dude,
had
I'm
young folks
35
around him all the time.
Dude,
Like,
I'm
how is
35
this
years
not-
old, and I'm happy that I know who Taylor Swift is. Like, like the man is almost like 90 years old. He's like 82. Like, how he doesn't like.
It's not that being connected
he
with the
mixed up
youth.
Britney
It's,
Spears and Taylor Swift. Like,
dude, it's not the mixing up of who young people are. It's simple political strategy. The man's been a fucking senator and a vice president, and now the president, and been in politics for 50 goddamn years. Like,
I agree. Yeah.
Somebody, I like, even David goddamn Axelrod is telling him, hey, maybe you need to switch up your gears. Like David Axelrod, the fucking son of a bitch that was what Clinton's guy. And
I don't know what
like,
to tell you what his mindset is. Like, I don't know if it's because like he's cocky. I don't know if it's because he believes he's got this in the
I
bag.
think it's because he really believes in it. That's what worries
I don't know
me.
if it's because he's like a doddering old fool. Like, I don't think he's like dementia riddled like some people say. Like, I've seen
don't think he
people
is
with
either.
Alzheimer's. I've seen people with dementia. I don't think that he says that. But
No.
I do think that like he's an old man, and like it's like like they both are. They're both old men, and they both like mix up names and say the wrong thing sometimes and make gas. Like that's not what concerns me.
Yeah.
Like I think it concerns a lot of Americans, don't get me wrong, but it's not what concerns me. What concerns me is that like they are making this existential crisis by being like Trump is existential as a threat to democracy. Like
Yeah.
he's propping up Nazis. Like he's working with Vladimir Putin. Like he's going to destroy NATO. Like he's going to he's going to outlaw abortion. Like, and all that may be true. Like I'm not just like
Yeah.
it's all very factual. Like Project 2025. Like, and I agree. And like we should talk about those things. And they're bad things. I agree. But their concept is that they're going to just make a boogeyman out of him, and that's going to be enough. That's going to motivate people enough to show up to the polls, and I don't think that'll motivate people to show up to the polls.
It's clearly not. That's what what's so baffling. Like, I mean, every news outlet talks about this. Like, Joe Biden's losing the young. Like, I really cannot get other than like what if he really does believe that, or do they actually? I mean, I've brought this up before. Do they not care about actually winning? Like, he's old. Who cares?
Well, no,
he's gonna be dead soon.
No.
Like,
I mean, I'm sure, like, just for personal prestige, you don't want to lose a presidential election, like,
right? That's what I'm throwing everything at the wall that will stick here because, like, I mean, dude, you're helping a genocide that is as very people adamantly saying we will not vote for you on this, and he has been pushed to the left. Abortion and weed are two perfect examples.
I know this is horrible to say, but welcome to American Empire. Helping this genocide in 1986 would have been the right political move. Now, I'm not saying it would have been the right moral move. You should always have felt this, but like he is always operating on 1986, right? Like this is Back to the Future.
I
for
guess
us.
so.
Like he believes Republican. Like he talked about yesterday about how he disagrees with Mitch McConnell, but he's a statesman and like all this shit. And it's like, no, he fucking stole Supreme Court seats. Like he's a fucking corporate shill. Like he's committed us to wars and death upon millions. Like fuck that guy. But like he is stuck in this era of like, no, really, like there's something we can work out between us. Like that's why they did that with the immigration bill, where they gave the Republicans everything they wanted. And like it was a trap, obviously, to be like, by the Republicans to be like, oh yeah, why don't you just give us everything we want and we'll give you Ukraine funding, the thing you already were demanding. And they wrote a border bill that was worse than anything Trump had ever written in his time trying to get something passed.
Yeah.
And like they went along with it because they were like, oh, it'll show that Republicans won't do anything. And it's like, well, first off, if it passes, you're going to lose a bunch of people on the left because this is a draconian, horrible fascist bill. And if it doesn't pass, like, yeah, we all knew the Republicans were subjugated to Trump and they would obstruct shit. Like this isn't anything new. We've been yelling about this since fucking Clinton?
Yeah.
I just I understand why a bunch of people are uncommitted about Joe. And I think that voicing that opinion might make him actually change something. I'm not saying it will, but I'm saying we got to try, right? And the primaries are the time to do that. Go make your voice heard. Go first off. See if you can change some actual elections where you do have even more of a factor, like numerically, in smaller elections to change things. Like, something is much more likely to be 1 or 2 or 10 or 20 votes close when it comes to like your local DA or like your dog catcher or your congressman. Like each one of those are exponentially like easier or harder to actually change with just a single vote, but it's important, so you should do that. Go vote down ballot as far left as you can, the primary. And if you still have a primary for the presidency, I think you should vote uncommitted, because I think that people on the far left should unite to say, Joe Biden, there are some things you have to change if you expect us to show up. I'm not saying I'm going to vote for Trump. I certainly am not going to. I will never vote for a fascist. But I understand that there's a bunch of people who are not ideological like you or I, Tim, or like a lot of our listeners, who are just average people who have personal stakes in this, who are going like, fuck that guy. Like my cousin's dead because of him. Like my aunt and all my cousins died in one airstrike in Israel 2 months ago. And like, he's just letting them get away with it. Like, what are you supposed to say to that person? Like, well, you should really vote because of Roe v. Wade. Like there's
fuck your Roe v. Wade is what I would say to that. Like I don't give a shit.
And
my cousin can't have any children. Like,
and I'm not asking to change those people's mind, but there was like a recent CNN panel where CNN did a panel with a bunch of Democrats, and 3 people said they couldn't vote for Biden and 3 said they were going to. And 2 of the 3 said, yeah, I mean, like, I could be swayed to vote for Biden. And one said they couldn't. Well, that person's gone. They're lost, right? Like, we're not going to get them back. So let's focus on the fact that there are people who are voting uncommitted who are saying, I am still a Democrat. I will not vote for a Republican. But to get me, you got to change from policy. And the only way that they can get that message is if people vote uncommitted Super Tuesday.
Yeah. And Democrats, if you're listening, you're definitely not. But if you are, you have time to change this.
I don't know. It's 50-50 haters left and right these days.
No, I mean, like, at least just establishment. Like, Joe Biden has time to change all of this. Like, he has time. Like, he could change it tomorrow. He's the most powerful person.
Oh, no. I was talking about us as the podcast.
Oh, like, I know.
Like, 50% it's the left versus the right just hating us.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
no.
Well, libs and conservatives hating us.
Libs hate us. MAGA people like hate watching us.
So that's how anti-establishment we are, everybody. Like, libs and Republicans
and MAGA hate us. Yeah. So that does great for views. So yeah, vote for as left-leaning as you can and vote uncommitted on Joe Biden, especially that. Like, whatever you think about voting on most left, you can. If you are at the very least frustrated with Genocide Joe or Jodis, oh man, what was it called? Genocidin. That's what the other one was. I was like, oh, that's clever. If you have an issue with them, vote uncommitted. It sends that signal to them that
it could be Jover.
Change.
That it could be Jover.
And it could be completely Jover.
If he doesn't change things.
Yeah. So and it will be all,
And one last thing, this is Democracy Manifest. Like people who
this
yell
is
at you.
Literally how it works.
Yeah, people who yell at you and they're like, how dare you challenge the Democratic nominee? This is just making it easier for Trump. Like, they are anti-democracy. They are saying that you should shut the fuck up.
That's fascism.
And you should never challenge anything just because the blue team's doing it. They're wrong. Yeah. Like, I do think in the end you should vote for Joe Biden. I do, no matter what, because I'm a harm reductionist voter. Like, I think if there were 2 fascists running, I would pick the fascist that's going to kill less people. I do. Yeah. Like, that's how I would vote, because I believe that that's what you have to do as a tool in a toolkit. But either way, what I am saying is that the primary is the time for you to cast a ballot for whatever you truly believe in to make a point. And if anybody gives you shit about that, tell them to fuck right off, because you can vote in general for the other person. And I mean, they're not, and I mean that not a Democrat even with the party. I mean,
they're not a little D Democrat.
They don't believe in like voting. Like, they would just want you to accept what the party has picked for you and never complain. And fuck them. Like, maybe we don't live in a democratic republic, but we should be striving to be in that as best we can. And we should be fighting for that. And this is a time to do that. So go vote uncommitted on Joe Biden. Vote as left as you can on all the other races. Make sure you study your local ballot initiatives. What's going on in your city? Like, whether you're building a library or you're allowing redistricting of an industrial zone that's going to pump a bunch of chemicals into your water, or whether or not you're allowing tax credits for solar panels, or whether or not the state is reorganizing like funds for teachers. Like, these are all things that could be happening on your ballot. Make sure to check that out. Go online. There's multiple resources. I'm sure Tim will throw those in that you can do for Super Tuesday, but make sure you go vote. It is the least that you can do. I'm not saying it's going to defeat fascism or change the world. I am going to saying that it may change 1 or 2 or 10 or 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 or 1,000,000 people's lives based off all of us doing it. So do the small part, and then also get there out on your ass and like feed people and like help out your friends and maybe train a little bit, like get some like first aid training. Yeah, because it's gonna get bad.
Dude, just do good things in the world. Just trying to leave the world a better place than you found it. I think that's the national parks motto.
Plant trees you'll never sit under the shade of.
Exactly.
And
you can go.
No,
always be prepared is the Boy Scouts motto.
Trust, loyalty, helpful, friendly, courteous,
you can
thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
Yeah, you got it. Okay, you can if you haven't registered to vote, please go to vote.org. The link is in the description. And if you don't know when your primary is, just go to americathepodcast.com. It is at the top of the page. Full list of every primary through June. June is the last ones are like the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. So, which are states, or well, they're territories that should be states. So
they should be
keep
states.
that in
they
mind.
Don't get senators. They should.
It's that's a whole nother issue and not a priority for this year, unfortunately.
Vote,
but it should be.
Sure. They're like.
Yeah, their Congress people can't vote. They're simply there.
Votes,
they can talk. I think they can filibuster. It's
I think they can symbolically vote, but it doesn't count. Like,
It doesn't count. Yeah, it's really, really America's
It's
dumb.
dumb. It's like it's colonialism or something.
Yeah, we are a little shitty empire. That's it. Vote.org, americathepodcast.com to find out when your primary is. And please, for the love of God, just go vote in your primary. Thanks for listening. Tell your friends and subscribe. Bye.
Uncommitted.
I'm uncommitted to subscribing. That's our whole fan base. You've been listening to America the Conversation with hosts Andrew Turner and Tim Phillippe. The show was created by Andrew Turner and Tim Phillippe and is a production of Shway Media and America the Podcast Presents. Any news sources referenced in this episode are listed in the show notes. America the Conversation is mixed and edited by Tim Phillippe at Shway Media Studios in Austin, Texas. The show's theme song is by Timmy Two Step. Executive producers for America the Conversation are Andrew Turner, Tim Phillippe, and Alana Matos. For more information, please visit shwaymedia.com and americathepodcast.com. Copyright 2024, all rights reserved.
This has been a production of Shway Media, all rights reserved. For more information, please visit shwaymedia.com.